Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of This Old House. We're going to wait for a few people to get in here, wait for the notifications to go out, all that good stuff. And for those of you that are coming in the building, make sure you are hitting the like button and sharing this one out because this one's going to be a pretty good one, I think. Pretty sure this is going to be a decent topic regarding the State of the Union. Oh, once again, how's everybody doing? Welcome to another edition. Um, yeah, I'm still at home. I've been home for a year. Okay, let me catch you guys up real quick. For those of you that don't know, okay, I've been out of the truck, off the road for over a year now. Okay, people are like, well, what the hell are you doing at home? Well, I am the director of compliance and recruiting for our company. So I've moved up in the world. For those of you that are late to the party, so to speak, um, I have a lot of things going on with this particular job that I do. I'm on the phone 24/7, 365. I make myself available to our drivers at any time. I tell them, like, look, if it's after hours, text me first. If it's the weekends, shoot me a text if you have a question or, whatever. I always get back to my guys, even if I'm up late or whatever, and I get a text message from one of my drivers that have a question, I'm answering them. That's just how we do it over here. What up, Big D? What's going on, man? What's going on, little Everett Yokum? But yeah, so show of hands in the comments below. Do you guys think the trucking industry is falling apart in ways more than one? Do you think that the shit's gonna hit the fan, so to speak? We got all these all these regulations that they're still trying to force down our throats. We've got fuel prices through the roof. They want to push electric trucks. They want to do this. They want to get rid of lease operators. They want to get rid of owner operators. What do you guys think? Freaking John Howard over here. Where are you at, John? I don't see you in here. Where are you at? Where's he at? Oh, there he is. He's in here. Son of a bitch. Look at that. Mr. John Howard himself. You know what I'm going to do tonight for this particular, what do you call it? This particular episode. Let me go ahead and get the phone lines open real quick. Hold on. How do I do this thing? Sometimes I forget how to use this fucking thing. Oh, where are you? Where is it? Hold on. Thought I had it on here. I guess not. Huh. All right. Well, I guess I'll just do it from my phone. Hold on. Wait. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. How did I do this last time? How did I take calls from the computer the last time? Oh, I got an idea. Hold on. Let's just do this. Let's just do this. I want to talk to you guys about this crap. Want to see if we're all on the same page, so to speak. All right, here we go. Phone lines are going to be open here in just a second, folks. We're talking about the trucking industry and what you guys think is happening and what's going to happen, and so forth and so on. Okay, I think the phone lines are open. Let me double check. John, go ahead and give me a call on the freaking phone line so we can get this tested. The number is 561-501-1683. 561-501-1683 if you want to call into the show real quick, and we can get the ball moving with this topic. Let me go ahead and put it down here. If you want to call, if you want to call in and talk about it, but there's a lot of things happening in the industry. Okay, and it sucks. They're just making things harder and harder for drivers and companies and owners and all this shit. And what's going on, Alex? Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, a lot of us keep saying, when is enough gonna be enough? Damn right, let's go, Brandon. That's the problem. I've been saying this for a long time. Don't worry about saving money, save bullets. Because when the shit hits the fan, and money's not gonna matter. You know, but when is enough gonna be enough? When is the system? When is there gonna be? When is there gonna be enough pushback? When is there gonna be enough people that are fed up with this bullshit? I mean, if you look at what happened last year in Canada with the protest from the truckers up there, and it looked like it appeared like the truckers were getting something done up there in Canada. They were blocking the borders, they were blocking the ports. They were doing it big up there in Canada, but the damn government. Hold on, let me grab this real quick. Let's see who's calling.
Call from
John.
Oh, it's John.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
John, can you hear me?
Yes, is this the little guy's show on this old house?
Indeed, it is. Welcome to the show. We're talking about the debauchery in the trucking industry right now, and I want to know from other people's perspective what they think. We were talking about right before you called. We're talking about what happened last year in Canada with the Canadian trucker protests, and it got so crazy and out of hand that the government stepped in and was freezing people's bank accounts that were helping truckers, and it was all anybody could talk about for what was it, like 2-3 weeks worth of protests from truckers shutting down Canada, and then all of a sudden, yeah, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. Nobody was talking about it anymore. Like once everybody's bank accounts got frozen, and it was like, oh well, that's that. I mean, can somebody help me and refresh my memory? Did the Canadian truckers actually even accomplish anything that they were trying to get accomplished? Does anybody
know? They accomplished they wanted to be unvaccinated and still do their job. So they did get that where they could travel between the U.S. and Canada with more leniency than what their government was pushing.
I just saw something tonight on, I think it was TikTok or whatever, about the vaccine. Check this out. You're going to laugh. Listen to this BS. Let's see here. It says the New York Supreme Court reinstates all employees fired for being unvaccinated. So, what was it, a year and a half ago, when they made the mandates for the vaccine, they said, look, either you get vaccinated or you lose your job. Well, all of those people that got fired that didn't get vaccinated are now going to be reinstated and get back pay from the New York Supreme Court. And since I did the video about RST last week, I made a mistake in that video saying that you need to be vaccinated to go into Canada, but they changed the rule on October 1st that you don't need to be vaccinated to go into Canada anymore. So it's been proven from the science community and everybody else that being vaccinated doesn't spread COVID, so to speak. So it just goes to show you that me and a lot of other people were right about this COVID-19 bullshit. But John, what do you think with fuel prices, with regulations on trucks that you could buy in the future, i.e., electric trucks and all this shit? What do you foresee coming down the pipe in the next 10 years?
Well, just the way the trucking industry is so broken in general itself, I don't think that we're going to become united like Canadian drivers were, because there's just so many of the mega carriers out there that will try and their best to pick up whatever slack that they can, that where owner operators and other people will be pushed out of this industry. But also in that other hand and foot, I think they're fighting off a little more than what they can afford.
What do you mean by
So-
that? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, explain.
They're not going to have the volume of drivers. So, for say, with these new emission standards coming out here soon for trucks again, it's just they're putting a pinch on the little people, especially like the owner operators who already own their trucks. Like forcing these speed limiters, forcing all the depth regulations. So it's pushing the little man out where they can't essentially afford a brand new tractor that's possibly going to cost $280,000.
Without that, it appears that's what the government wants to do. They want to have full control and regulate everything, and it sucks because having freedom in this country used to mean something, and within a very short period of time over the last 2 to 3 years, it just seems like everything is getting turned upside down. Now, do I think that it's all going to fall apart in the trucking industry? No. I think there's a lot of doom and gloom out there right now. But in retrospect, especially for the industry that we're in, and when I say us, I mean the RST, Riverside Transportation. We haul reefer freight, and one of the cool things about reefer freight is that everybody's got to eat, and hauling reefer, hauling food, you're going to stay consistent. Whereas over the last year and a half, especially during the pandemic and stuff, we watched dry van freight and flatbed freight, dry up pretty much because of supply chain issues and all that stuff. So, but John, you could attest to this. You've been doing it. You've been out there on the road. Have you been consistent with your pay and your freight?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, when I came back after my round with COVID, I got a brand new truck, and I had just turned it in for my Alaskan truck, and in 6 months I had put 100,000 miles on my truck.
Forget about all that. Let's focus on the
So-
freight and focus on the money that you were making.
The money was really consistent, hovering right around between 25 and 3,000 bring home.
That's take home, right? That's in your pocket.
That was in my pocket, so I was grossing right around 7 to 7,800.
Yeah, and that's on a full week. A lot of people always ask me, how are we doing running Prime freight? There's a lot of people like to joke around and say, oh, Prime is cheap freight, but even with everything that's going on with fuel prices too, one of the perks of being an A fleet company for Prime, you get to enjoy their fuel discounts. And if you guys, I bet you if you pulled up the Prime app right now, hell, I could even do it right now too, and tell you exactly what we're paying for fuel. Like where are you right now, John?
I'm down here in Texas, about 2 hours south of Amarillo.
You made it back from Canada already? Jeez Louise, you're moving. Jeez, you were hauling butt, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
trying to get it back
see.
here.
Let's see here. Because I can tell you right now,
I know
with
before I started doing what I'm doing, roughly it was about like I would say like right around like 380s when I left was what we were paying a gallon. 380 to about 370, and that's with the prime discount.
oh, okay, hold on. Let's see here. Damn thing's having me wanting to change my password here. Go figure.
But going back to your talking of the takes on these newer trucks coming out, like the electric and hydrogen fueled, the electric. I mean, I think we're kind of going way too far in advance for this, just because look at California. In these high heat, they tell people on these digital billboards, and I'm sure, like, the Asian My Show can contest to this, of seeing these out here too, is it's so high that they're trying to conserve energy and to control the blackouts they get, that they're telling people not to charge their electric vehicles.
Yeah,
So now
that's
you want to add electric semi-truck stops that our power grid can't even handle that yet. They're not even concerned of, well, our grid can't handle that. What are we going to do to fix this problem before it becomes a major problem nationwide?
yeah, that's the crazy part about the situation with California. They're telling people not to charge their electric vehicles, not to use their air conditioning. They're trying to get rid of gas-powered lawnmowers, gas-powered vehicles, anything diesel APUs. I mean, I have a funny feeling that eventually enough is going to be enough with the American people, where they're going to get the government, all these people, these companies that make the FMCSA, the DOT. There's going to be a lot of pushback. There's going to be, I mean, look what happened with the railroad, where they were going to go on strike. Okay. And they went and met their demands basically with the railroad. That's what needs to happen in the trucking industry. Is we need to get organized to a point where we can all stand up for each other and accomplish a common goal, but the problem is that every time, we get a couple of people banded together, oh, we're going to do a shutdown. We're going to do a shutdown and we're going to block the highways and this, that. That doesn't solve anything. That doesn't solve anything. I mean, even the thing in Canada, where they blocked everything up. I mean, it was fun to watch, but they didn't really, they didn't accomplish much. I mean, look, they just lifted the vaccine rules in October this year. It took over a year and a half for anything to get done. But there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. But I think that if the governments and people continue to keep pushing these regulations in the speed that they're pushing them, and at the level that they're pushing them, it's gonna be bad. There's gonna be a lot of pushback. Okay, but let's talk about fuel prices real quick with Prime. Okay, right now, trying to see here. Let me pull up the local. Let's see if I can do this real quick. Let's see. Check this out. Okay, here we go. Here's a good example. So I'm looking at the Petro where I live up here in Pennsylvania. All right. The one in Pittston. Okay. I'm pulling it up as we speak. Here we go. Well, that's the. Oh, no, I can't look at that one because it's too close to the terminal. Let me go to. Let's go to. Hold on. Let's pick. I think this is the Loves. Well, that's the Pilot. Diesel price.
So roughly where I'm sitting right now is the cheapest right now is $3.96.
Are you looking on the app, on the Prime app?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's a good scenario here. So right now, currently, okay, for diesel and in Drums, PA, which is off the 80, where 81 and 80 meet up. Just using this one as an example. The diesel price. Let's see here. Let me make sure I'm pulling this up the right way here. I want to make sure I give you guys accurate. So diesel right now for owner operators or companies that don't have any fuel discounts, it's currently $6.39 a gallon. With Prime's fuel discount, it's $5.16. You're saving a boatload of money with Prime's fuel discount. Okay. And with that being said, we also get access to the discount for maintenance and all the other good stuff, repairs, everything. The reason I'm saying all this is because, you look at the industry right now and the freight and everything, and yeah, things have kind of calmed down for dry van and flatbed and whatnot. And freight has kind of gone back to its normal capacity, so to speak. Not really, but kind of. But one thing's for sure, you're always going to have freight in the reefer business, you know. Always. You're going to have consistent freight. Hell, even on the spot market right now, like a lot of guys, oh, the spot market this, the spot market that. But spot market reefer freight, you're always going to be able to find something. It may not be the best price in the world, but you'll still be able to keep yourself moving and make some money. It just depends on how you run your truck. But do I think that the industry is going to fall apart, for the little guy, the person that's trying to start up a fleet? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I can tell you right now, a lot of people are saying the same thing. And starting your own fleet right now, today, is probably not a good idea. It's probably not a good idea to try to go out and get your own authority and buy trucks and gonna have
Just regular used trucks are out the door, just way high expensive. I mean, you got ragged down trailers going for $85,000.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you go, like, I've been looking just for shits and giggles, and there's some decent price. I mean, the prices for trucks have calmed down a little bit as well, but with these new regulations and stuff, it's gonna make things just tougher and tougher, for people to be successful. Successful, but don't let that deter you, because, like I said, it's all about how you run your business. Okay. And if you're running your business smart and you're doing your research on what you're getting yourself into, okay, i.e., like I said, reefer freight, for instance, that's what we do. That's what we specialize in with Prime. Okay. And, if you look at companies like Werner and Knight and Swift and those guys that are hauling primarily dry van stuff, I talk to drivers all the time that are looking to come over and work with us, and they're like, "Yeah, the freight ain't there. My miles aren't." I had a guy listen to this. He was hauling for, uh, I'm not even gonna say the name. He was hauling for a really, not a mega carrier, but pretty big dry van carrier. And he's like, "Yeah, I had a full week last week, and I did 2,200 miles." And I'm like, "What? Full week, 2,200 miles?" He's like, "Yeah, that's the best I've gotten in a long time. Usually it's like 1,800, 1,900 miles, and then they start to cap you off." I'm like, "Whoa, what do you mean cap you off?" Like, they don't let you run anything, more than that, because they don't want to pay you any more than that. And these are companies that, where you're a company driver, you're paid by the mile. Even if you're John, you worked at Hirschbach, you were paid by the mile as a quote unquote lease operator, right?
Yep.
I can't imagine being a lease operator, having to pay for the truck, pay for the fuel, and being paid by the mile. at a set rate. That's just, especially nowadays. I don't know how and what they've done to change their structure. But if they have the same structure in place where it's this dollar a mile fixed rate bullshit sliding scale, oh, we're gonna give you $1.10 this time, because I don't know wasn't it at Hirschbach you were at a set cents per mile.
Well, it wasn't a set cent, so it went based off how many miles the trip was. So it was more or less a sliding pay scale.
Legendary Vapes is in the house. Also, yeah, Fetterman is definitely no bueno. Speaking of vapes, I need to place an order that we talked about, Joe, for some juice, some coils, and that new mod that just came out. For those of you that vape in the house, like myself, go and check out Legendary Vapes. They're here in the comments. Go on their Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and look up Legendary Vapes. Tell them that the little guy sent you. You can place an order with them and have everything shipped directly to your front door. So go check them out. But yeah, I'll be in touch with you. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that, the problem is when they keep changing the rules and making new regulations and everybody keeps following, okay, we'll follow the rules. I think, and this is going to sound crazy, but eventually there's going to be enough crazy people to say, forget this bullshit. And there's going to be an uprising of sorts, an insurrection. Oh. What do you think, John? Insurrection time in the trucking industry?
It's going to happen eventually because it's going to be to the point where people aren't making the money they used to, and they're going to start realizing it and feeling what's going on.
Well, with everything, you can even see it in commercials nowadays. Like, I think I saw a Domino's pizza commercial. They have this thing called the Inflation Buster discount or something. And I'm like, me and my wife went grocery shopping today, and I'm on a fixed income, in the position that I am now. And it sucks because everything costs more than it did a year ago. And everything costs more than it did 2 years ago. And the prices are still going up, It's not a happy time to be an American with everything that's going on between I guess what I'm saying is eventually you're gonna push somebody, it's just like this. Look, if I was pushing you and pushing you and pushing you, and you were like, okay, but eventually you get pushed into a corner, and when people get pushed into a corner, they come out swinging because there's nowhere else to go. And if the government keeps up with this BS that we're looking out for you, we're looking out for our constituents and this, that, and the other, then it's only a matter of time, and they have to know this. I don't understand how much more they think they can get away with, but WTF, right?
Exactly. I mean, our government wasn't built for the government to run the American people. It was more or less, they spoke on behalf of everybody, and that we, the people, controlled the government.
Yeah, well, that's what
but
it's.
we have allowed them to take so much power in now that, in shortness of everything, of saying is they can put the fear of people into people like nothing. I mean, look at COVID. I mean, they were able to shut down the whole country just by saying, "Oh, here's what we got to do. We can't be doing this. You can't go to work. You can't go to the grocery stores without these certain things."
And that's only the tip of the iceberg, And like I said before, you look at what they're doing in New York now. They're going to reinstate all these people that got fired. I mean, look at the military, for instance. You got people that were booted out of the military with an admin SEP. They didn't get dishonorable discharges. They got admin SEP, which is damn near just as bad as a dishonorable, but not as bad as a dishonorable. I'm hoping that they'll let those guys and gals come back into the military and get, and because, there's just so much shit going on. Like even the military, like the government, the recruitment agencies for the military are having a very hard time recruiting new recruits. Okay, because there's all this woke bullshit. There's all this, oh well, we should care about your feelings, and the military is designed to do one thing, and that is defend this country and defend other countries that are our allies and need our help. You can't be on the battlefield worried about feelings, okay? You got to be out there on the battlefield to do one thing. And yet our military is just like, I remember when I was going through boot camp back in 2002, and we were getting ready to graduate like the following week, and we were watching all the new recruits coming in, and we saw a couple of the new divisions, PTing, in sneakers and stuff. The only time that we wore sneakers when we PT'd is when we were doing like, our actual PFA and stuff like that, or when we were doing just regular exercise. But 90% of the time we were in uniform, in our boots, running around the base. Okay. And then they also had this thing called a stress card, where if the RDC or the drill sergeant or whatever, in the Navy, we call them RDCs, recruit division commanders. They would be able to pull out this card out of their front pocket and say, please stop yelling at me, basically. That's what that card did. Stop yelling at me because I feel sad. And then the division commander would have to stop yelling at you. That's how soft the military is nowadays.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's how it is everywhere now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, certain companies have what they call like quiet rooms and stuff like that.
God, that's just, it's funny. Joe, is that you or is that I don't know? Legendary Vapes is in the house, by the way, but I'm not. I don't know if it's my sister-in-law or if it's my brother-in-law. But either way, they just commented that we need to stop sending our cash to Ukraine while we have homeless vets out here. Yeah, we have our country so messed up right now that our country, the government, is more worried about handling and helping all these migrants flooding into our country than helping out our own people. For instance, and John, you could attest to this as well. When you drive up and down the I-5, especially coming into or what is it? The fuck's the state above California? I'm having a brain fart.
Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. I thought it was Oregon. I wasn't sure. Hey, we got Trucker Jukebox in the house, by the way, too. We got Larry. So when you drive,
it's like a whole community down there.
yeah, when you drive up and down the I-5, you see tents everywhere of homeless people. They're fucking pulling. They're giving truck drivers tickets for parking on the side of the road, so they can deliver their load in the morning or that night or whatever. They're giving them parking tickets and having their trucks towed in certain instances. And yet it's okay for you to camp out with a tent on that very same sidewalk for free and not be bothered by anybody. That's how messed up the country is right now. Like, for those people that don't live in California, don't live in Oregon, don't live in Washington State and all that stuff, the entire West Coast is like a third world country now. And if you think I'm joking, go and look at the pictures. Go and look at the videos of San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland. It's a flipping nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Oh, well, I mean, out there they do enforce like all the homelessness in camps like that. They like even in Phoenix where I live, they do it. They call them sweeps, where they kind of kick out all the homeless people, come through with tractors, and just load up all their stuff and then dump it in a dump truck and haul it off to the dump.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're that hard up where you're homeless and look, I'm all about, people falling on hard times and things happening in people's lives. But I mean, John, me and you have been down at the bottom plenty of times, financially, mentally, physically. But we've pulled ourselves back out, and there's a lot of programs out there nowadays that can help people in situations like that. The problem is that nobody cares. Nobody wants the help. Nobody gives a crap. It's just easier to be homeless and live off the government than it is to get off your lazy ass and do something for yourself. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's
And
one of the big
sometimes
problems.
it's so hard to get some of the help, even from your state government.
Oh yeah, and I can attest to that. Getting help from the Veterans Affairs right now is, I mean, knock on wood, I've had a very good time. God, thank you, fucking, from was able to get my house through Veterans United, and get my mortgage and all that good stuff. But I'm talking about mental health. I'm talking about medical. Going to a VA hospital is like visiting an ER filled to the rafters with people, and they're like, "Yeah, well, we'll see you when we can see you. We'll make an appointment for you next year." And it's not even the VA anymore. Like, for instance, my sister, for instance, um, John, she has the same thing that you had on your face, and I'm pretty sure she has the same thing you have, but she can't even go and get an appointment until, like, she's had this appointment made for months, but her appointment is until December. Months she has to wait to go and get this damn thing on her face looked at. Months, bro. That's how crazy it is. Even regular doctors are so backed up and so far behind on scheduling and appointments and whatnot that you better learn how to put on a Band-Aid, is what I'm trying to say.
I just don't know where everything has made this turn to how bad we're in this situation. I mean, in a way, I want to say we've done it to ourselves, by not standing up
Well,
for
yeah,
ourselves against the government.
That's the problem. There hasn't been enough pushback. There hasn't been enough geeked up Americans like me and you to say enough's enough.
I just don't think we're going to get to that point because we've allowed them to have so much that with just the flip of a switch, they can put the entire country into a complete scare of a whole new thing happening.
You don't realize how easy it is to shut everything down. I watched this movie a while back. I think it's on Netflix still. I'd have to look. It's called Into the Forest. I believe that's what it's called. I can't remember, but the premise of the movie is that everybody was living their normal life, and then one day, out of the blue, the power goes out, and it stays out indefinitely. Now think about that for just a second. If the power goes out for longer than 12 hours, it's a problem for a lot of people. Refrigerator, everything in the refrigerator goes bad for the most part. The first people that get affected are the people that have illnesses that need electricity to run their machines and their all the hospitals and stuff. And but if the power goes out and stays out, now your infrastructure just falls apart, and it's pandemonium in the streets, and people turn into savages. And we go, and if you look at our society and just human nature, for instance, and you watch this movie and you see how fast people will turn against each other and fight for themselves. And you've seen it in every single zombie movie. You've seen it in every single show, apocalyptic style movie or show. At the beginning, when it all falls apart and panic sets in, everybody raids the grocery stores, the pharmacies, and then what? Then what? Now you have no power, you have no infrastructure, everything is collapsed. And if you don't know how to survive in the wild, so to speak, and take care of yourself, you're going to be one of the first people to fall off, and be gone. It's that simple. And I don't know, like, I mean, we say to ourselves, well, when's enough going to be enough? And when are people going to, like you said, when are people going to stand up for each other? Problem is that the day that happens and you have a million or so geeked up Americans try to overthrow the government and take things over, yeah, all they got to do is shut the power off, shut the water off, and it's going to become a problem. And it's not when, it's or if, it's that's what's going to happen. The thing is that we would have to have enough people smart enough to know when that's going to happen and how to handle it, or have enough people on the inside, so to speak, to prevent that from happening. There would need to be a full on plan, foolproof, so to speak.
Yep.
Because you've seen it happen in many countries where the people have tried to overthrow their government. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's what we need to do. Listen here, YouTube. I'm not saying that we need to overthrow our government. Please don't take away my channel. What I'm saying is that this bullshit needs to stop, and common sense needs to come back into the conversation. There's just so, like for instance, look at what happened the other day. It's all over the news right now about a trans volleyball player, a man that transitioned into a woman, a high school kid that's a man, now playing volleyball on the women's volleyball team, spikes the ball so hard that he ends up knocking the girl on the opposing team out. She's got all types of issues now. And if you watch the video from this, and what they're doing is great, because they're forfeiting every single game. All the teams in the league in that area are going to forfeit if they have to play that team with the trans person, because it's just not fair. The same thing happened last year with the guy that became a girl and that was on the swim team. Okay. On the swim team, as a guy, he was horrible. He was like, he never won a race in his life. And then he transitioned to a girl and he starts just dominating everybody, all the girls. I mean, like, what did you think was going to happen? If you look at science and medical science, men are built stronger than women. That's just a fact. And if things like this keep happening, where they're going to allow a biological male to play women's sports, just look at that in itself. What is going to happen to society on just that aspect alone, where they're encouraging children to transition if they feel that they need to transition? I mean, does that make any sense to you?
I don't know. We just normalized everything, and I just think that's the new normal now.
Well, that's the problem, though. That's not normal, though. I mean, like I said, common sense needs to come back into the conversation, and this stuff needs to stop. we used to, like the old question, like, oh, well, what would happen if your kid was to be gay? Oh, well, yeah, of course I would love my kids if they chose to be gay. But problem is that if it's one thing to be gay, right, and it's one thing to want to transition, but don't force it down everybody else's throat and say that this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. I mean, just the other day they had that trans TikTok famous person interviewing the president, talking about abortion and all this other crap. I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it. For the life of me, I just don't understand where they think that they're helping kids out. If you look at 90s kids, like when we grew up, our parents, used to beat the shit out of us. Nowadays, you can't even touch your kid. Kids are so sensitive. Oh, my feelings. I mean, I hear stories from my son Lucas about some of these kids in school, and it's just, my head spins thinking about this shit. It's ridiculous. I don't know, bro. I think eventually, though, enough's going to be enough, and radical change is coming. I think that here in the next week or two, when all the votes are counted, hopefully legally for the midterms, and the Republicans take things back over, that I hope things start to go back to normal in a very fast way. Because there's a lot of shit that doesn't make any sense out there, folks. I'm going to try to read the comments here. What's going on in the comments?
Well, Matt, I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to see if anybody else wants to jump in on your call here.
All right.
So it was good being on the show, and everybody take care out there, and you take care too, Matt.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. You be safe.
All right. Bye-bye.
If you want to call in, the phone number is 561-501-1683. Phone lines are open. I want to know what you guys think about all this BS. I mean, we started out talking about the BS in the trucking industry, and we've rattled on into a whole other topic. That's kind of what we do over here. Yeah, I agree with you there, Jordan. I agree. We can't do a hypothetical. Yeah, we definitely can't do a hypothetical revolution. We got to do a real one. And I know that sounds crazy to say, you know? It sounds crazy to say it, but it's what needs to happen. Just to go back to real normal, not the new normal, real normal. Like normal, regular normal. Trucker Jukebox says it's a crazy world. There was another school. Yeah, another school. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Trucker Jukebox. We got Pedro in the house. What's going on, brother? Pedro's in the house. Yeah, Canada just did that the other day. They said that Canada is now like Australia. You can't do shit with guns at all anymore. I think that when the day does come, if it comes where they try to do that here in America, that's going to be a very big tipping point. What's going on, Brendan? How we doing, buddy? Yeah, I don't know what's up with that guy Trudeau, man. Holy cow, he's a special breed, that one. He is a special breed. When are we coming down to visit? Let's see. I would like to try to come down there next summer. I would like to. That's the thought process. Even though Disney World is so woke and so fucked up and so overpriced, I would like to try to save some money up to go and take my children to Disney, especially Lorenzo. Lorenzo's never been there before. Lucas was there when he was little, but I would love to take them down there, and show them, some of the original fun stuff that you could do at Disney. Man, so woke, so in their feelings. So yay. Yeah, even Universal. I mean, even any one of them, to be honest with you. The number is 561-501-1683, Corey. You want to call in? Let me know what you think here tonight on the Romper Room Showdown. Tonight's flavor is brought to you by, we got a Bam's cannoli tonight. We got the original. It tastes like Skittles. One of my favorites. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Rocking the old Mag P3. Oh, man, this thing is so old and beat up, but it's still kicking. Man, I don't know. I don't know if you guys were tuned in for last night, but I told you guys that I got a strike, community guidelines strike warning. I got a warning from a video that I did a year and a half ago. I did a live feed back in March, and I got an email saying that YouTube gave me a warning because of the stuff I was saying in the video from March of 21. And we were probably talking about Joe Biden. We were probably talking about the election and all the BS. And because of that, a year and a half, I get a warning a year and a half later. I don't get it.
Call from
It is Corey.
Corey, you're live on the show. What's up, pal?
How you doing, bud?
I'm hanging in there. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Yeah, it's just, times are hard, man. You're talking about the reefer industry and dry van freight, and I'm actually pretty fortunate. The company I'm currently working for now does both because the last company I was at, all they did was just dry van. And due to the market, these big mega carriers are outbidding the smaller companies, and they couldn't compete with fuel prices and everything else. So they got outbid by a bigger mega carrier, and they lost their one of a few of their main accounts. And so my mileage just automatically just dumped way too low for me to financially survive. So I had to keep my options open and found a company that does both reefer and dry van. And right now with this industry, beggars can't be choosers. So I'm taking whatever is available out there right now.
Who you pulling for, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a company out of Washington, Camway Trans.
Okay. And
Yeah,
you're
so,
doing okay with them?
Yeah. So like I said, they are keeping me pretty much busy, and can't complain about the miles. But like I said, right now, you just pretty much got to take whatever is available.
Yeah. What do you think about these rumors going around about this diesel shortage? There was Alex from the Asian My Show, Mother Trucker. He went and put out a little video with a video clip from, I can't remember which news source it was, but saying that America has 25 days left worth of diesel fuel. What do you think about that?
If that's going to happen, then you don't have to worry about health and all that. Everything's just going to go chip out. The store is going to go. You thought if there is a shortage of fuel, when everybody thought it was bad during the pandemic with the stores going empty, you can find that out the window. That's going to be long gone. Food and everything else it's going to be. Things going to shut down once again, even worse than compared to the pandemic.
Well, if you think about it, it's like what we were saying before about that movie I was talking about. The power going out.
Yeah.
If
go out in the mountains and go kill your deer.
If the transportation industry shuts down, and I'm talking about trucks, planes, buses, boat. I mean, if diesel fuel goes away in 23 days from now, you will have just it'll be like the movie, it'll be an apocalypse. Apocalypse. People would lose their minds, and people would turn into savages, and there would be a lot of dead people. People shooting each other, fighting over resources, and the sad part about the situation is that, like, in my sick mind, maybe that's what the government wants to happen. Maybe they failed. They look at COVID-19 and they're like, well, we screwed up. We didn't get the turnout we were hoping with COVID-19, because this whole thing about the earth being overpopulated, it's definitely true. It's definitely true. There's no way else to put it. We are definitely overpopulated by a lot. And you know,
Right.
like if you want to think in layman's terms and simple, basic common sense terms, well, how could we thin the herd? Well, a pandemic would definitely do it, but it didn't do it. You know, there's too many people out there with common sense still that, you know, looked at the whole COVID-19 thing and was like, it's I mean, if it was something like the Black Death or, you know, or something like that, you know, where millions of people died from the plague, you know, then maybe. But this COVID-19 thing didn't get the traction that they were hoping it would. They locked everybody
No,
down. They shut down everybody's businesses, and you know, everybody kind of bounced back. But let's just say they're like, okay, well that didn't work. What else can we do? Well, all they got to do is shut down the transportation industry. They got to shut down the electric grid. They got to shut down. They got to shut down something to trigger mass confusion, mass chaos, and
there's going to be anarchy, chaos in the streets, and that's what they want to see.
yeah,
Just like
I
the
mean,
George Floyd situation, they want to see all the cities burning down and people fighting against each other instead of working with each other.
you know, but the thing is this, you know, like for instance, if you remember the movie, you remember the movie World War Z, the zombie movie with
Yeah.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
You remember the movie, what was it? With Will Smith, Legend. I Am Legend.
Legend.
You know, The Walking Dead. You know, all these zombie style movies and shows where in the very early stages of everything, you know, they quarantine the city. They won't let you out. You know this. You know, and then everybody's fighting. You know, like movies like The Purge. You know, if you look at just movies like that, for instance, and they're very accurate for the most part. People would lose their minds. People would panic like that, and all it takes is one city really to start a chain reaction on that. But like for instance, let's say they shut down, or let's say that diesel fuel dries up in 23 days, then yeah, you're going to have a huge problem. And the funny part about it is all these rich people and government officials are already going to be prepared in their bunkers and their safe houses and this and that, and they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. For instance, when you had the all that rain and stuff down there in Mississippi where everything flooded, um, and you look at all that, for instance, and they couldn't get water down there for days, but yet the governor had a water truck parked in front of his house. You know,
What a douche.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, he's the governor. Okay, sure, he's got to, you know, but that's what I'm saying. The people that are in government, that are in power, the people that have money, the people that are well off are going to be fine, you know, because they're part of the plan, so to speak. And what easier way to thin the herd than to have everybody go against themselves? And you said it right. You said most people aren't going to band together in the beginning. In the beginning, it's going to be pandemonium. In the beginning, it's going to be hell in the streets. In the beginning, it's going to be you versus me. But after a while, when things calm down and there's, you know, the people that survived, so to speak, those are going to be the people that start to organize and reclaim things. But it might be too late by then. It might be too
Yeah,
late by
but
then.
there is a few amount out here in this country that still has a backbone, and we will take back what's ours.
I mean,
Government
eventually,
work for
eventually,
we
yeah,
need to.
eventually,
Like you said, you're not trying to get kicked off of Facebook, but there needs to be a point, and people of the United States of America need to show these politicians and all these, crap that's going on. You guys work for us. We're tired of this. This is not working. Either you guys change it, unless we're going to take back what's ours.
yeah. I mean, I completely agree with you. You know, and that's what needs to happen. The problem is, there's just not enough of us yet. There's not enough of me and people like me and you. There has to be a huge number of organized, geeked up Americans to take back this country to somewhat normalcy, and It's a very simple thing if you think about it. We just need to stop with this bullshit. We need to stop worrying about Ukraine. We need to stop worrying about all. The first thing that we need to do is take care of Americans first. We need to clean our own backyard first before we start worrying about it. It's like the old saying, you look at a landscaper, right? And he cuts grass for a living and his own yard looks like shit. You look at a guy that paints houses and his house hasn't been painted in years. You look at a roofer, he does roofs for a living and his roof is fucking leaking all over the place. Well, we need to fix our own roof before we fix anybody else's roof, so to speak,
Yep.
I, I mean, that's what that's just common sense. That's just common sense, folks. And here's the thing that sucks about this whole situation. Let's just say worst case scenario, like we're talking about the diesel fuel, the quote unquote shortage or whatever. Let's say that really happens, right? And supposedly it's now 23 days left, quote unquote, right? Well, 23 days ain't enough time for people to get organized and be prepared. What's going to happen is, and this is hypothetical. Let's just say that like 23 days from now, that's when shit hits the fan, right?
Right.
The day's going to come and people are going to be like, nah, that's just bullshit. Nah, it's going to be fine. You're going to see it's going to be fine. It's just a story. It's just for news. But let's just say that there's some truth to it. Let's just say that on the 23 days from now, they flip a switch and all the pumps go dry. Well, it's going to be too late then. We're going to be ready, and that's when the chaos is going to ensue. Now, if I was a sick fuck, and I said, this is how can we thin the herd? Well, that'd be a great way to do it. Let them all turn against themselves, and then the strong and smart people will be the only ones left.
Right.
I mean, human beings are very smart.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. Man, because I don't want to be stuck on the side of the road. You know how it is. Once you run out of diesel, it takes a lot to prime these suckers again.
Oh God, that's the worst. Thank God I've never ran my truck out of diesel before, but I know Trainer James has done it. I don't know if he's in here. I don't know if James is watching, but I know Trainer James ran his truck out of diesel. I know a lot of people have run their reefers out of diesel, and yeah, it does take some effort to reprime those diesel engines so that they can get kicking again.
Oh yeah, it's not a good situation. I've been seeing guys out here. Another fella I've seen out here on YouTube. He just started his own channel, and seems like every little ordeal, couple of videos, he's like sweating it. Like every time he's getting in to a truck stop, he's literally got like a gallon left, and yet he's a company driver. And I was like, dude, number one rule is never ever let yourself get under a half a tank. And especially now during winter time, you're
Right.
a company driver. Top that sucker off.
Right.
I don't understand some of these young cats out here that are driving and they're like pushing their trucks to the max limit. And it's like, dude, this is not a regular gas burning cars. Diesel needs to have fuel in those lines. And these guys shut it off. And then it's like, you guys need to keep that running because they could be now sucking back air.
Yep.
And you can have mechanical issues once you start driving. You're on a full tank, but the motor just bogged out because now there's air in the lines.
Exactly. And there's been plenty of times where I've come close, running on E. I'm like, well, I can make it a few more miles. And then, like, the light comes on, I'm like, ooh, I hope I make it. But, we've all done that. We all still do it. But, like you said, especially in the wintertime alone, I mean, for years and years and years, I never used any anti-gel in my truck, ever. I've never had a problem where I've had my fuel lines gel up. Well, what was it? A couple of years ago when I was driving that white Volvo of mine, I had the damn fuel lines gel, and that truck didn't have an APU, so I would always idle the truck to stay warm and or cold, with the AC on in the summertime. So I would always idle the truck up, a little bit, but the engine would always be running. So I was like, okay, well, the truck's running. It's going to stay warm. Fuel lines aren't going to gel. Well, I was in North Platte, Nebraska there at the Bosselman Pilot, the big one. on
Right.
what's it, 7? That's on the 70. And I woke up, got my day started. Truck was still warm from idling all night. It was like, I don't know, 0 out. It was really cold. No gel, no anti-gel in the tank. As soon as I started driving, the truck started sputtering and missing, and I'm like, oh shit, what the hell? Sure enough, the fuel lines were gelled up. They were starting to gel up, and as the more I drove, the more they gelled up, and I made it down into Denver area, and I had to go and get my fuel filters changed, and I went and got a PM done while I was there, but. Ever since then, when it would get cold out, I would throw some anti-gel in the tanks. But
Yeah, for me, rule of thumb during the winter time, anything under the 70, even around the Interstate 40, just throw in anti-gel. Even though you may not think it, it's just better to be safe than sorry. And
yeah,
stuck on the side of the road, especially winter conditions. You don't want to be stuck because we all see these bad videos of someone lose control, someone's on the side of the road getting hit, and it's just not a good situation.
nope. Especially these days, most of these. That's another problem is the training out there for some of these companies is ridiculous. You see a lot of people that are driving in our country now that don't even read English. It's a bad situation, to be in, and you got to be prepared. Prepared. That's one of the things they taught us in the military is preparedness. Being prepared for the situation that you're in, and at all aspects. So, um, yeah, fuel. Hey, Junior Honduras is in the house. What's going on, buddy? Um, Fuel starts to freeze at what, 28 degrees in the fuel lines, if I remember correctly. Because I know 30.
I would say a rough estimate around the mid 20s. I would think that.
Yeah,
But really, once it hits under 30, around 30-ish, I'll just throw an anti-gel in there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
only like what, 14, $15, something
Exactly.
like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Always have a bottle of diesel 911 just in case, and always always carry some anti gel with you. Um,
right.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so 23 days from now would be November 17th. Do I think it's going to happen? No, obviously not. But then again, who knows? Who the hell knows? I mean, the midterms are coming up. It's going to be a week after the midterms. I mean, we all know, and from what the polls show right now and everything, it's a pretty good chance that the Republicans take things back over in a big way here after the midterms, which is going to
Well,
be
I hope
great.
so. Yeah, it will be because out here in Southern California, where I'm based out of, they had a big old ordeal out of the LA people that the government officials down there that work for the people of LA. I don't know if you heard about it. There was some racist video coming out, and everyone's like, oh, so shocked that Democrats are racist. And it's like, what, you thought Republicans were only? And it's like, oh, crap.
Look,
And then now, they were just talking about that. It's pretty funny that this audio got leaked right before, this voting situation we got coming up. And it's like, well, who is the whistleblower? Who leaked this, audio? And it's all of a sudden now people are all scared and worried about can't say this, can't say that, unless you're going to be kicked out of office or kicked out from your job title.
yep.
And yeah, it's definitely it's going to be interesting in the next few weeks on what happens. But if we do run out of fuel, you can kiss your Thanksgiving turkey goodbye.
Yeah. The thing that's crazy about, our election process nowadays is it's so messed up, and if we look back to the 2020 election situation, um, allegedly, I got to say that now because I told you I got a community guideline warning about a video that I did a year and a half ago. I did a live feed back in March of 2021. And I'm 99% sure in that video we were talking about the election like we're doing now. So I have to say,
holy crap! There's a crackhead on the side of the interstate flipping out right now.
oh, you got to put that
out in the middle of nowhere.
Put them on the news. Put them on the news. But if we look at that election and look at all of the things that happened with the ballots and all the the middle of the night, they kicked all the Republicans out, and they had all these ballots coming in, and it's like, how much more messed up can you make it look, and then expect
Right.
nobody to question it? And then for them
Right.
to say, oh, there's nothing to see here, this is all normal. Yeah, a suitcase full of ballots in the middle of the night is normal. No, that's not normal. That's not a secure voting system. And everybody's all up
Right.
in arms about the Georgia voting laws. Oh, well, you got to have an ID to vote. Yeah, I completely agree with that. You got to have an ID to get on an airplane. You got to have an ID to buy a gun. You got to have an ID to buy liquor. You got to have an ID to damn near do anything. You got to have an ID to open up a bank account. Why shouldn't you have an ID to vote?
Right.
But no, that's racist. And here's the honest truth, okay, about human beings. Everybody's racist at some level, okay? That's just human nature, okay? I'm not saying like, oh, well, I'm white, I don't like the black people. No. What I mean is that people hate everybody, okay? People hate everybody. Like, for instance, today, it's a very funny story. You know how at Walmart parking lots, you have one-way lanes for where you park your car,
Right.
Well, I was following the directions, and I was in the lane following the arrow, and this old lady was trying to come into the lane, and I'm in the middle of the lane, because it's a one way, She's
Right.
trying to turn in, right? And it's so funny how this happened. It's really comical. You see her coming with the windows down and music blaring. She had to be 90. She was real old, okay? She's making the turn into the lane, and I'm like, oh God, she's gonna hit us. And she jumps up on the curb, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're going the wrong way. And she's yelling and screaming, singing along to her music, not even paying attention to us. My wife was like, please just drive before this lady hits us or something. But it was so funny. It was hilarious. So I was pissed off at that old lady. Like, what is she doing? And I wasn't racist towards her, but I was pissed. I was like, what is this fucking person doing? She's up on the curb. She clearly either took too much of her meds or not enough of her meds. I don't know what was going on, but it was the funniest thing in the world. And then on the way home from the grocery store, there's this lady blocking the road, trying to turn into a parking lot where there was clearly nobody in the way, but she was too busy playing on her phone. And I said, and I had my windows down. She had her windows down. I said, get off the fucking phone. And she's like, fuck you, fuck you. And I was like, I hit my brakes, and I was like, I wanted to go into the parking lot after, but my wife was like, please stop being an idiot in this small town. Just go home. And I'm like, fucking motherfucker. But it's just like, everybody hates everybody at some level. It doesn't matter what
Yep.
skin color you are, or what nationality you are, or what faith you are. People just suck. Okay. And if we can all admit that, then people would get along a lot better. It wouldn't have to be about white versus black, or, Asian versus the brown people. Gotta shut up. Oh, how do I turn this damn thing off? Oh my God.
You got an Amber Alert?
Yeah, a gray Volkswagen Jetta on the PA, with a PA tag, an Amber Alert. Oh my God, it won't go away. My goodness, freaking Amber Alerts. Well, I'm at home right now. I'm not going out on the road to find a Volkswagen Jetta. That's
Yeah, I'll let the cops do their job.
Yeah. Good luck with that. That's another thing too. They want to talk about
Yeah.
defunding the police, and just that in itself is a nightmare. Think about what's going on with that aspect, dude. In San
Before
Francisco.
we get switched to a different subject, we were talking about the voting polls. That's the part that's upsetting me. They keep on wanting to do this investigation on Donald Trump and the Mar-a-Lago, and then the raiding of the Capitol and stuff, and the investigation. Like, even though Trump has been out of office for 2 years, they still keep on trying to mess with that, man. But yet, no one doesn't want to do the investigations on the pollings on that. That seems like that's got to be illegal.
Nothing
But
to
yet,
see
why
here.
do you guys keep on messing with that? And why do you guys keep on messing with that man that's not even in the office anymore? Yet you're not worried about this shit, but yet you're worried about that. Something's backwards.
Hey, but hold on. Hey, Brian says Matt is blatantly admitting he has this much road rage. Meanwhile, he's supposed to be a professional driver. Brian, everybody has road rage, dude. Stop trying to see. That's what I'm saying. People,
Yeah,
Brian, I love you. I love you, Brian. But let's be honest here, Brian. Everybody has fucking road rage. It's
Yeah.
part of our human DNA, bro. Come on, stop being silly. See, the people like Brian that just go against the grain of society. Come on, Brian. Just being honest.
Just stop lying, man. Ain't your old lady, you know?
I mean, Brian is just clearly in his feelings and needs a hug. Let's all give Brian a hug, ladies and gentlemen, because he's gonna sit here. He's gonna sit here. I mean, look. I mean, if anybody has road rage, it's got to be truck drivers. Okay, it's. Here's the thing, though. It's if you act on the rage. It's one thing to sit there and curse and scream in your truck at the asshole in front of you. It's another thing to ram your truck into the back of them and not let them in when they're cutting you off. That's different, Brian. Okay, that's different. See, us truck drivers out here, we get cut off on a daily basis by these assholes that are, I'm just going to squeeze in. I'm going to squeeze in. I got to get in front of this truck. But it's different when you react to that rage. That's the difference between being a professional and being a road rager in full effect. But don't sit there and tell me, he's let me go back and read it again just because it's funny. Matt blatantly admitting he has this much road rage. Meanwhile, he's supposed to be a professional driver. If you go and look at my MVR, I've never had one fucking accident in my driving career. Not one. So there you go.
One, but I was that fault.
You know, I mean, I've had things where, happen where I wasn't at fault. Like, for instance, I was driving on I-10 in the right lane. Okay, there was trucks and cars next to me in the left lane, so I couldn't go anywhere. Had a car coming up on the off-ramp or the on-ramp to the interstate. So I slowed down to let this car get in front of me. And the car started to slow down. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm letting you get in. The person didn't get in. So I was like, fuck it. I can't move over. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to get back on the throttle and get back into it. Well, the lady, and I'm watching her in my mirror, decides to come out and tag my trailer with her mirror and rips her mirror clean off. So I pull over. Okay. And I have all this on dash cam to save my butt, which is great. Thank God. I pull over and now it's rain. Picture it's Tallahassee, Florida, just outside of Tallahassee. I pull over. By the time I pulled over, and she stopped way, but so I'm walking in the rain. I put my vest on and I walk back to her, and it's an older lady and her daughter. And I say, "Hey, are you guys okay? Is everything okay?" She's like, "Oh, we're fine. We already called the police on you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. It's gonna be like that. Okay." So the police arrive as I'm finally getting back to my truck in the rain. And I spoke to the officer. I said, listen, hey, I got everything on dash cam. Let me explain what happened. He's like, all right, let me get your version first. And I'm like, okay, cool. I showed him the tape. And he's like, oh, you're good. This is just, one of those insurance job cases, it looks like. I'm like, I don't know what it is, sir. But apparently she didn't, I don't know how she didn't see me. She ran right into my trailer and ripped her mirror off. Anyway, long story short, they let me go without a problem. And they gave her a fucking ticket. So.
Good.
Good. It's crazy because, if Brian wants to talk about road rage, stopping your car to yell at some lady with your family. First of all, it was just me and my wife, Brian. So let's get that cleared up. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to go into the parking lot and yell at her, but I didn't. In retrospect, I probably, if my wife wasn't with me, I probably wouldn't have done it anyway because I'm smarter than that. Check. But still, it pissed me off. Lady sitting there farting around on her phone, blocking the road, Who wouldn't be pissed off, right? But
Right.
I guess Brian over here, he's perfect in every way, shape, and form.
I guess
Ah,
so. But yeah, and then actually earlier today, what was it actually last night? I don't know. I was all the way north of on the I-5 up in Washington. I was literally like, I could probably spit my bubble gum at Canada border,
right.
and making my way all the way down the I-5, and yeah, going through Seattle and Portland, man. It's no joke about homeless. It's like it's beyond ridiculous, and they even these homeless people just have their cars parked right next to their tent if they have one on literally like on the sides. Like, how's that even virtually possible? You got your car back there. How about state troopers not throwing their stuff away, but yet if we leave a truck there unattended for a couple of minutes, they're slapping stickers all over it, banging on it, getting they're ready to get a wrecker out there to start towing it, but yet when it comes down to that situation, and then they got these homeless people walking on the side of the highway, spun ducky off of drugs. They'll just keep on pushing by them, but yet it's like, well, that's a endangerment to themselves and to the people that's driving on these highways. And I was like, I can't even roll down my windows to get some nice, cool, you know, breeze from the ocean down there because you got to worry about homeless people possibly throwing crap at you at your truck or inside.
Yeah, that's why I don't like the West Coast anymore because it literally looks like a third world country over there, and
Oh, it sucks.
it's a shame. It's a shame that that's where we're at. You look at cities
Right.
like San Francisco and Philadelphia. It's a mess, dude. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Hey, is the microphone
And
fixed now? Apparently, the microphone got messed up. I know that Brian says Matt is lecturing me and I can't even hear a word. I don't know if it's the signal. I don't know if it's the mic, but let me know if you guys can hear me. Let's get a sound
I hear
check.
you good on my end, but
Okay, yeah, I can hear you good too. But yeah, I don't know, Brian. I think you're misunderstanding the situation, but that's okay. Everybody's allowed to have their opinion, but I just wish that Brian wouldn't get all up in his feelings and he would come back down to earth and think normally, about the situation. But that's okay. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty interesting world we live in nowadays, and I think
start getting cleaned up.
eventually, the shit's gonna hit the fan and it's gonna get ugly, and maybe that's what needs to happen. I don't know. I really don't know, but I've been saying it for years, folks. Stop worrying about saving money. Start saving bullets. And be prepared
Yeah.
because when the time does come, it's not going to be about how much money you have in your bank account because you're not going to be able to access it anyway. It's going to be about you protecting your family and yourself at all costs, literally. I mean, like I said before, Brian, Brian, we're busting balls, Brian, but we love you. Don't get it twisted. We love you, bro.
Oh, Randy.
Yeah, he's still in the. Yeah, he said thanks for agreeing with me. Loved every word. I got no hate for Brian or anybody for that matter. But then again, like I said before, the point I was trying to make is in human nature, especially these days, people get pissed off like that. And it doesn't take much to set people off, Um everybody's kind of short fused, and it just sucks. Society sucks, There's a lot of good people out there in this world, and then there's a lot of shitheads that ruin it for everybody else. And what's the old saying? There's one bad apple can spoil the bunch. Well, problem is there's too many bad apples right now, and it's just fucking everything up.
Right.
If they would go
So
back
how long's your home time?
home time, what do you mean home time?
How long is your home time?
What are you talking about? Like how long am I home for?
Yeah.
I've been home since October of last year.
Oh, well, I saw you posted a video. Now the time is to sign up with your guys' company.
Yeah,
I just
no.
haven't seen you guys guys for a while.
Well,
Well,
okay, let me
for you,
let me refresh you and some of the other people because I mean, I haven't done a lot of videos over the last year because I've been very busy with my new job. And my job is I am the director of compliance and recruiting for RST. I don't drive anymore. I don't drive anymore.
Still got your truck?
No, the truck. Somebody else is driving my truck.
Good to go.
I drive a desk for the last. I've been driving this desk here in my house for the last year, and
You miss it?
yeah, fuck yeah, I miss it. Fuck yeah, I miss it. I was talking with Chris today actually a little bit about. I was like, man, I might need to go back on the road because, like I said at the beginning of this video, our drivers at RST are making really good money right now. Even with the fuel
Right.
prices and everything, reefer freight with Prime, especially because Prime is one of the largest refrigerated companies in North America with multiple huge accounts like Tyson and Walmart and JBS and all these other high-end food meat processing plates. Yeah, our guys are doing really well. You know, really well.
Right.
So I'm on a salary, and I miss being a lease driver where I was making the money that I was making.
Right.
I like doing what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. I get to help all the drivers out that work with us. I get to be that guy that is there for our drivers. Like, and that's the whole program that I put together for our company. Is that I said, Chris, look, we need somebody, and it could be me, obviously, that's going to be there for our drivers when they need them, even on the weekends and the holidays and and this, that, and the third, to help these guys out when they're down and out and they're having a bad day. They just need someone to talk to or whatever. And that's what I do. Once we go from quote unquote recruiting mode at RST and I get you to come on with our company, I then become your driver liaison, your driver mentor, your driver, whatever you want to call it, but I'm there for all of our drivers 24/7, 365,
Try to keep an open door policy.
Oh, beyond open door. I want like my guys to be able to feel comfortable with anything, and like I said in the video that I did the other day, it's all about communication. And if you have a very good line of communication with the chain of command at your company, anything can be worked out. Any problem can be worked out, but you have to be willing to communicate. It's that simple. So,
Right.
and our turnover rate at RST is by far one of the best in the industry. And we've had guys that quit. We've had guys that have left our company, but it wasn't because they weren't making money. That's for sure. And we've had people leave because of medical reasons. We've had people leave because they needed to be home with their families. I mean, let's be honest, our company is an over the road company where you're out there on the road at multiple weeks at a clip. That's what our company is.
The lifestyle, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I've done it all. I've done local, I've done over the road, I've done regional, and I was at my happiest and best financially as an over the road driver. That's just my opinion.
Oh, of course. 100% down. I used to do local and I made, good money, but I was killing myself like 14-hour days, literally barely off the clock for 10 hours. And I mean, literally, when I clock out, they want me back with literally my 10th hour already like back on the truck. So they're not even giving me time from commuting from the yard back to my house and picking up my kid and dinner and shower. All of a sudden, I'm barely only getting like 5 or 6 hours of sleep.
Exactly.
Pushing 70 hours between Monday through Friday. Over the road, we're driving our 11. Yeah, occasionally you got your 14-hour days, with shippers and receivers or whatever the case may be. But when you're over the road, you hardly ever see that. Usually it's just your 11, take your 10, even maybe a little bit over if you want to. It's your time out there long as, just get your loads on time or picking up or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I love, of course, being home, but I've been doing this for 10 years now. And when guys ask me, what is it like, what is this? And I was like, how long can you stand being away from your wife or kid? Oh, I don't know, like a day or two. This is not the job for you.
Yeah.
This is not the job. And it's like, actually, I'm sorry, it's not a job. This is not the lifestyle that you're wanting. Well, good money. Yeah, but you're going to end up hating it and you're going to end up quitting. And if you go to one of these truck driving companies, you're going to be in the hole with the debt with them, like Swift or Schneider, because you got to be there for an X amount of time to get their debt with them paid off for the miles that you're running. And if you quit before then, you're going to have this massive bill that, you got to pay them off for them getting your CDL, and yet you're never going to ever use it again because you realize this is not for me.
Yeah, I remember, I was a trainer for just a short period of time, and I had a couple of guys that just couldn't hack it. They got to their third or fourth day, and they were like, this is crazy. I got to get out of here. But, one of the things I've said in my videos, and that's what, like I've said it before, I'll say it again. One thing I pride myself about on my channel is that my channel starts day one of truck driving school 10 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And my entire
We started around the same time.
Yeah, I started in. I got my license in October of 2012. Okay, so 10 years now of doing this stuff. And one of the things I've said in my videos, my how-to videos, my teaching videos early on, advice videos, whatever you want to call them. If your family does not support the idea of you being an over-the-road driver, then don't even waste your time trying to do it. You have to have the support from your family first before you can even start looking into becoming a truck driver. If you're a single guy right now and you don't have no kids, you don't have a house, then yeah, trucking is where it's at, because you can, think about it. If you're single and have nothing tying you down, you could literally live in your truck for a couple of years.
Stack your money and save it.
Exactly, dude. And literally stack and stack and stack and stack. But if you're married and you have children, like in my scenario, that's what I had. You have to have full support from your children and your wife or whatever, or else it's not going to work. That's rule number one. Okay.
Right.
And you have to be willing. You have to be willing to make that sacrifice, and I told my wife, even my children, I said, look, I'm young. We're in the sacrifice stages of our lives. If we don't do it now, we'll be doing it when we get older, when we don't have the energy, we don't have the time or the money. If we do it now and put in the hard work now, it'll pay off in the long run,
Right.
But like you said, you couldn't have said it any better. It's a lifestyle, and you have to be
But
willing
also,
to.
I give it to these guys. I was like, honestly, pardon my French, you're being a puss. They're like, how? Because there's still opportunities. You can swing by the house. And
Oh,
they're
yeah.
Like, well, how's that being a puss? We're still gone. I was like, look, and you can explain it yourself. The people who are in the military, they're gone for half a year at a time. They're on the other side of the world, and there's possibility they don't know if that's going to be their last day on walking on this planet Earth because of some crazy person, on that side that just defending our country wants to blow their fucking head off. And that's why I was like, look, you're only gone for a couple of weeks at a time. Look at the men and women in the military. They're gone for over half a year and only home for what? You can explain it. How long were you when you're out for? And then you come home for like what, a month or two, and then back out for another half a year again?
Exactly. When I, like, for instance, I got out of active duty in 2006, from 2002 to 2006, and then I was in the reserves. And then right before my reserve time was up, I extended my contract and went back active. That's when I went to Africa. I did 2 more years of total time of active duty. I went to combat training at Fort Jackson, and then I went and shipped out to Africa for about a year and a month, about 13, 14 months in Africa.
Yeah.
And
That's harsh right there.
and Lucas, he was only like 18 months. How old was he? Let's see. He was 2008. He was only like a year old, when I left.
Right.
I'm trying to think here. Hold on. Let's see. I left.
So you got back pretty much when he was like what, 3?
No, he was like almost 2. I think he was like 6 or 7 months. I can't remember exactly, but he was a baby. He wasn't even walking when I left, and then when I came back, he was walking when I came home. And
Right.
I had the opportunity. I had the ability to take R&R, to go home for 2 weeks, but I canceled my R&R so that way I could come home earlier, so to speak, so I could be home for the holidays. So I stayed out there for the full time, and chose to come home 2 weeks earlier instead of taking my R&R midway through the deployment. But it's just like that, at that time, I went and that's when the economy took a dump. And I was working for a really, really good company called Iron Bridge Tools down in Pompano Beach. And I was the logistics coordinator for that company. And that company is the company that makes all of the Husky and Workforce tools for Home Depot. Okay.
Nice.
And I was the guy that was in charge of making sure all the tools were manufactured properly in China and shipped to America properly. And I started out at that company as a temp. And I was so good at what I did because of my experience in the military working in the admin field, that the company bought my contract out from the temp agency. And I moved up the ladder very, very quickly there at that company called Iron Bridge Tools. And I was like a week and a half away from actually going to China to see and oversee some of the manufacturing of our tools before that. And that's when the economy took a shit. And because I was one of the lowest guys on the totem pole at the company, I got laid off. And
So it's always at the bottom of the toll.
yeah. So I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? I got a house, I got a kid, I mean, what am I going to do? So I was like, well, I could go back in the military. And that's what I did. I went, took my reserve. I went active reserve. And, they were like, okay, cool. You're active reserve, whatever. I got benefits and stuff, which was great, which helped. But then, like a couple of weeks into being active reserve, they called me up and says, hey, you got tagged for orders. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now, as an active in the reserves every year, you do a 2-week stunt on quote unquote active duty for 2 weeks. Thing with my situation was is that they were sending me back to full-time active duty. And I got a call from the NOSC in West Palm Beach, and they're like, yeah, you got to come down to the NOSC and talk to chief. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You got tagged for orders. I'm like, okay. Oh, okay. So I'm thinking this whole time that I'm gonna do a little 2-week stunt. So I get down to the NOSC,
Right.
and I see the my first class. And I'm like, hey, can you read me my orders? She's like, no, I can't. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, because your clearance is higher than mine. And I'm like, what? Okay, whatever, right? I'm at this particular time, I'm thinking they're messing with me, right? And my chief comes out of his office, says, get in my office now and sit down. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, you got tagged for orders. You're going to Djibouti. And I'm like, what? And at that time, I had no idea where or what Djibouti was. I thought, like I said, I'm thinking they're pulling my leg. I hear Djibouti. I'm like, what? The fuck's a Djibouti? Right? And so my chief is like, you're going to be getting a call on my phone from the admiral at CENTCOM. And I'm like, yeah, you're fucking with me. This is bullshit. Whatever. This is fucking, you're, so I'm like, all right, I'll go along with it. Whatever. Phone
Is
rings.
there cameras around here? You probably feel like
Exactly.
Where's
Because
the acid goods are coming out from?
this particular NOSC was known for pranking guys left and right, messing with people. They were a fun bunch of Navy people. It was good times. But anyway, so the phone does ring, and I'm like, he's like, pick up the phone and talk to the admiral. I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking bull. Why would the admiral be on hold for me, so to speak, right? And I'll explain all this after we get to the. I'll explain it to you as I dealt with it in real time. So, while I was on my first 4 years of active duty, I went and got all my qualifications that I could get so that I could have the ribbons on my chest, on my uniform. All of them, I had my top secret clearance, had to have that to be a yeoman. I got all my gun quals, all my firefighting training, all my search and rescue training, search and seizure training, everything that I could get involved with on the ship, I got involved with. Flight quarters, everything that I can do on that little frigate that I was on, that little ship right back there on that poster. I got it. I got everything so that I could have all the chest candy. What I didn't know,
The hammer down driver, or are you gonna keep on bullshitting around?
What I didn't know was that because I had all of the qualifications, it made me part of a very small pool of people that were qualified to do this particular mission. You
Yeah,
good?
well, tell them it's a long, skinny pedal on the right. Keep it hammered down, man. If you're going to be in that left lane, you got to keep that money train going.
Tell them.
Sorry, bud. Working as I go, listening to you.
No, you're
Yeah,
good.
man. Sorry, I fell behind on your videos. I was like, man, you're not coming out with them. And what I remember back in the good old days, you just sat back in your Volvo and did the table talk.
Well, that's what I said last night in my live feed last night that I've been procrastinating for a very long time that, oh yeah, we're going to get back into the videos. Oh yeah, we're going to get back into the videos. And every time I say that, I always end up, not doing it, because I'm busy doing this new job. And when I say that I'm on the phone all day long, I'm literally on the phone all day long talking to prospective drivers that want to come over and work with us, and the current drivers that we already have here, helping them navigate through the issues that they're having, so to speak. So I stay stupid busy driving this damn desk, believe it or not, But yeah, anyway, so the military, definitely, was a hell of a time dealing with all that stuff. So, but yeah, I do miss the Volvo in a lot of ways. The good old Volvo.
Yeah.
I'm just reading some of the comments. But anyway, look, you go do. I didn't even realize we're almost into 2 hours here on this damn live feed, and it's almost
Hey, man,
11
and
o'clock.
You know how it is. When you're driving down the highway and you got hours on your clock, you got nothing but time, man.
Exactly.
So,
Well, anyway, look, it was
right,
it was good talking with you, bro. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna keep the content flowing more consistently than it was. So stay tuned for more. It was good for talking to you with you tonight. So, and be safe out there.
Good deal. You and your family have a good one, and give you guys shout out later.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right.
Anyway, folks. Oh yeah. But yeah, stay tuned for more. We're gonna get out of here. It's late. It's hot in here. And I'm gonna try to get some sleep. I didn't get no sleep last night. I was having weird dreams all night. I was up tossing and turning. It was yes, definitely a lot more content coming down the pipe. Yes. Check me out on TikTok and all that good stuff. We do a lot of fun stuff, and we're starting to do a lot more fun stuff over there as well. Check out the merch. Check out the Patreon if you want to help support the channel. Those are great ways to do it. But the easiest and most free way to do it is just share the videos, folks. Make sure you hit the like button. Share the videos. Go back on my channel and find some of the old videos, that I did. Find one of your favorites and just share the damn thing. Okay? That's a great way to help with the channel. I'm reading some of the comments. You guys are clowns. But anyway, stay tuned for tomorrow. We're shoot me an email, shoot me a comment on Facebook or whatever of what tomorrow's topic should be. Yeah, we rambled on into a lot of other topics tonight, but that's just how we do it. But yeah, we should definitely call Trader James and get him on the phone. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I'll text him to see if he's going to be available tomorrow night. So stay tuned, folks. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll see you on the next one.